Hey! Welcome to another episode of Super FX, the show where...
Not.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Tyler.
This is episode number 9. Um, yeah, I couldn't think of anything super clever there. It's very hot today, and my brain is fried. So
that's it's interesting. It's feeling very decidedly fall here, decidedly autumnal.
Man, fuck you.
Here.
I that's my favorite season. A and B. As much as I really enjoy the summertime because of what comes with it, I can't stand the heat. I overheat very easily, and right now my car AC is like barely functioning correctly.
Oh no!
So
it's
yeah,
windows down for you.
Yeah, basically the 290 rule: 2 windows down, 90 miles per hour. not really. I try to have the air blowing at least a little bit just to give myself some sort of circulation in the car besides the windows, but. I had like a 45-minute drive home today from my final lesson, so it's just not good. I feel exhausted.
Sweaty boy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was thinking honestly for a moment there. I was like, I could do the podcast in my undies. No one can see me, but I decided just to put PJs on.
Oh, it would have been just like a regular episode then, eh?
Well, no, the regular episode I just do it completely naked.
Oh boy, it's been really kind of like chilly here. But like it's a little unseasonal. Normally we still have like pretty warm weather until maybe like early to mid September, and then it starts like really cooling down. But lately, the past couple of days, it's been like quite cold. Like 10 degrees Celsius kind of thing, which is fine. Like I kind of like that weather, but there's something about this kind of season that just feels, I don't know. There's whatever it is, like autumn always feels a certain way. And I think it's because like that's when we went back to school, and like that's when like the summer ended, and so there was definitely like this kind of like feeling in the air. Like you kind of get this like very, I don't know, it's kind of nostalgic for me, I find.
I could agree with that. Even despite the nostalgia, I love like the feeling of fall air because it's crisp and it's cool, and even on rainy days, you get that extra like smell in the air from all the leaves that are on the ground. It's really nice.
Yeah, Lauren's getting her classroom set up to teach this year, and so I went over there to help with a couple of her like computer-y stuff in her classroom, and wow, it was weird to be in an elementary school.
Yeah.
I had not been in one of those places. It seems so much smaller. When you're a child, that place seems huge.
I took a teacher's preparatory course when I was in high school, and every other day that we took the course, we would actually go to an elementary school to student teach elementary school kids. And
fun.
I remember the first time that I walked into an elementary school classroom after however many years, like 6-7 years before then, and I felt like I was trapped in a box. That classroom was tiny.
Oh, dude, it's weird. It's super, super weird.
It just seems so large when you're 6 years old, but when you're 16 or 17 years old and you look back the 10 years in age, it's, oh my god.
Yeah. She's also going she goes like all in on like little like projects for her classroom or for the students, and like getting things like super, super prepped. Like she goes hard. So yesterday she went to the dollar store to get some pom-poms. I think the idea is, they have like a whiteboard in the class, and so every student gets a marker, and then they have a little pom pom on the end of it, so it like erases on the whiteboard on the dry erase. I guess the dollar store didn't have any pom poms, so she came home and she had like 6 or 7 trolls headbands that had pom poms on them. And she spent the evening literally cutting off the pom-poms off of this headband and gluing them onto dry erase markers.
Wow. But at that point, I would have just gone to a craft store and just bought pom-poms.
Yeah, I think it was like late and she just wanted to get home kind of thing. I know, but
gotcha.
You should see. I'll send you a picture so you can upload it. You should see that. It's got like a mohawk and all these hearts and like these like strings on them. And it was definitely made by some like 6-year-old kid. Dude, it's rough. Anyway, so the brilliant idea I came up with was just to wear all of the headbands at the same time. And it looks like, I don't know, like you go to like Vegas and there's like those like girls dressed kind of like flamingos, and you know what I'm talking
Yes.
about? I don't know.
Of
what
course
the
I
name is,
do,
yeah.
but they're just called showgirls. I don't really know
Yeah.
what that costume is supposed to be called, but I knew exactly what you meant. I just never heard anybody say that before.
Anyway, it's brilliant, and I love it. So I'm glad she did not make the trip to the craft store, because now I have 7 trolls headbands.
You're gonna be living in fashion territory, boyo.
Oh yeah, you want to know a thing or two about fashion? Wait until you see these headbands.
What games are you playing while you're wearing your headbands?
Uh, all right. I know that this show is kind of known as a Pokemon forward show. And
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never played a Pokemon game in my life.
I kind of like vowed in a way that like I would not contribute to that, you know, like because there's always going to be Matt's playing Pokemon, and that's going to be like the thing for the next 5 years. You
You
know,
literally played New Pokemon Snap in one of like our earlier episodes.
I guess it was after that. You know, whatever. Anyway, I found myself one night last week perusing the eShop on Nintendo Switch. And only to realize that, oh right, the Pokemon MOBA, the fucking League of Legends clone, Pokemon Unite, was available. I think it came out in July, and I was like, oh sure, like what the hell, I'll give that a go. I'll download this shitty free to play MOBA Pokemon game. And here I am, like a week later, fucking addicted to this shit.
That's what everyone says. It's actually really good.
I don't know if "good's" the term I would use or what. It's not bad. Like it's fine for what it is. I've never been like massive into MOBAs, and it's not for lack of trying, because I played a decent amount of League of Legends in high school. There was like a group of folks at my high school who were really into it. And I played like my fair share. Like I wasn't hardcore about it. I never like really got into deep strategy, or I never watched any esports of it. Like I never followed that kind of thing. But I definitely played like a good couple, 100 matches or whatever.
Right.
Of League of Legends. And then I also played Heroes of the Storm, which is the Blizzard one with all like the Blizzard characters. And that one I actually preferred to League of Legends. The matches are a little bit shorter, and the map is just a little bit tighter, and it just felt overall like a little bit more of a cohesive, streamlined experience than League of Legends. I think League of Legends is maybe to that point now, but it's still like a task, right? To sit down and play a game of League of Legends, it's like a 45-minute experience, and so you have to really have the time dedicated. And for regular listeners of the show, they know that I'm garbage at that.
You work a lot.
Sure. I mean, I'm all about like having a very quick experience, being able to hop in, do bust out a couple games, and then be done with it. And so Pokemon Unite is definitely that type of MOBA, rather than the 45-minute epic that is League of Legends.
Yeah.
It's not incredible. Like it lacks the polish that I think this is something that a lot of like kind of free to play MOBAs and or mobile games kind of have. It's that you can definitely feel that the game is always checking in with the server for whatever reason. Like, it basically feels like it runs off of a server.
Gotcha.
And what I mean by that is, like, when you're in the menus, you're kind of selecting different things, and it takes like forever to load, and it's kind of hitchy. Like the animations will kind of like glitch in and out, and while it loads the data from the servers and stuff, like it's very much it's very clear at all times that this game is running off a server, and like very little is actually happening on device.
Right.
It's kind of that feeling. So it's not like super polished that way. It's got like the free to play mobile game. There's daily challenges, and there's like big things that you got to complete. You got to play X number of games. You got to get an X number of experience, and then you unlock these bonuses.
Yeah.
And if you
I gotta log in and do my dailies, Mom.
Yeah,
leave me alone.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. But when it comes to actual like core gameplay, like it's a MOBA, so you kind of know what to expect getting into it. I can't say that there's a ton that differentiates it, except for the kind of in League of Legends, if you've played it, they have towers that you have to destroy along the way as you progress. It's kind of like that, except instead of towers, you kind of gain points as you kill monsters and other Pokemon. And then you can kind of slam dunk these points in a very satisfying way into these kind of goal areas that are along the path. And then at the end of the game, they tally how many points each team has slam dunked into these goal areas. It's surprising. You can get to the end and kind of beat the other team's tower at the very end, kind of like League of Legends, but there's a time limit, and the time limit will typically run out faster than we get to the end.
So the goal is not focused on that. For that
no,
reason,
it's very much like get as many points into these goal areas as you can, and as when the time runs out, there's no kind of goal tracker or point tracker that I've seen, and so it's kind of like it's kind of interesting because often at the end of the match the time will expire and there's kind of a reveal of who won, because you don't really know how many points in certain matches you can definitely tell.
You just have to hope that you did well enough that it was better than the other team.
Yeah,
but you can't keep track during the game because there's really no way to tell because everything's so sporadic.
Yeah, you can tell. You can definitely tell if you're dominating, right? Because each goal area will explode if you deposit enough points into it. And so if you still have all your goal areas and the opponent has lost 4 of theirs, then you know that you won. But in a close match, it's you can't really tell unless you ran to each goal post, which you're not going to do, to determine how many points are left in each one. Anyway, so a little bit of an interesting dynamic there. I think the big pull with this is that it's Pokemon. It could be any other generic mobile MOBA game, and be fine. And I don't think it would gain any traction if it didn't have the Pokemon license on it. It's cool and it's interesting to see all the different Pokemon that are on there. I think I want to say maybe there's about 15 on there, and it's a mix. There's a good amount of Gen 1 Pokemon, but there's some new ones or newer ones as well. I've been really big on Talonflame. That's my main at this point. But yeah, there's skins that you can buy with real money. There's the one Snorlax has one that he's wearing these star-shaped sunglasses, and he's got a pool floaty, and it's pretty adorable. And Pikachu's got a hip hop hoodie gangsta kind of look going on in one of his. So it's fun. It's got all that kind of stuff, but it really wouldn't be anything special if it didn't have that Pokemon license on it. So it really adds to it that way. But I definitely I fell for it. I bit and got hooked on this shit.
I find it amazing that there are so many different genres inside the Pokemon franchise. You gotta wonder how many people were turned on to specific genres because of Pokemon's willingness to experiment. When Pokemon first came out, it's just standard JRPG. It's got some different elements from maybe your normal kind of standard JRPG. But how many people do you think started to fall in love with RPGs because of original Pokemon? And then
I'm sure.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon turned me on to roguelikes, so I know that turned people on to roguelikes. I was one of them. And I wonder if Pokken Tournament turned people on to tournament fighters. And now we have Pokemon Unite turning people on to MOBAs, probably.
Yeah, and Pokemon Snap turning people onto photography games.
Yeah, how many of those are there? But look at how separate from each other all of these different genres are. I mean, you can argue that roguelikes and RPGs are almost married to each other, but they're still very distinct. And then fighting games and MOBAs are way different from each other, and together they're way different from an RPG or a roguelike. So if you like Pokemon, there's a really good chance that you have experienced quite a wide variety of genres in gaming just because of that. And that's really cool.
Yeah, it's one of the only big franchises that I can think of that really kind of experiment as much as it does, right? You don't see a Mario.
We're never gonna get a Mario MOBA.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's
we got Mario
Kart
Tactical
Racer.
role playing.
Yeah, Yeah, there's a couple of them, so they are branching out a little bit. But yeah, it's rare to I think to see a genre or a franchise branch out like this. And just they're so willing to experiment that way. And I
Yeah.
think to a certain extent, like the Pokemon Company knows that like these fuckers are just gonna play whatever the shit we put out.
Yeah.
Uh,
we
but
could put,
yeah,
we could put out like Pokemon doctor appointment and everyone would sign up.
yeah, I think but I do think that they've been treating that brand with like a lot of respect at the same time. It's not like I feel like with Sonic sometimes they kind of just throw him to the dogs, you know,
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
with Pokemon, I still think that whenever you play a Pokemon game, no matter what game it is, like it's the characters are still treated with respect, and it's something that's usually relatively well designed. Whether or not like the gameplay like actually hits, that's a different question. But it's something that obviously that there's some care that they've put into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where Pokemon Unite goes. I think it seems to me I've heard quite a few people talking about it, quite a few friends who are playing it, and it's only on Switch right now, but I believe it comes to iOS and Android. I want to say September sometime, so pretty darn quick. So I wonder if this is something that's really going to take off, because I feel like I've heard a lot of people talking about it. And it does have a very addictive style in traditional MOBA fashion.
Right.
So I wonder if it's gonna take off and become something big, you know?
Like like another esport, the Pokemon Unite
Yeah, I wonder.
esport.
I don't know, because I feel like there's a lot of. I mean, every MOBA has its community and it's got its little competition scene, right?
Yeah.
Certainly things like Dota and League have taken off like to a huge
Oh yeah, they're
extent.
gigantic. Yeah.
Yeah, and even Heroes of the Storm to an extent. Like there's a bunch of them that have a certain level of following, but I feel like there's a ton of MOBAs as well that you never hear about. Right? There's probably
Hmm.
dozens that we don't even know the names of, and they have their tiny communities. But you got to wonder if Pokemon Unite now it's being a Switch slash mobile game. Is going to capture kind of an audience that maybe wouldn't have been as attracted to a Dota or a League of Legends, and really take off that way. Uh, I guess time will tell.
Yeah. I have to ask because I'm not 100% familiar with Pokemon Unite. I haven't downloaded it myself, and I've only heard what people have been saying about it to me. But like, how does it run exactly? Like, are there microtransactions and stuff in the game? Like, there has to
Oh
be,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Of course, the microtransactions, as far as I can tell, are just for the skins.
Hmm.
I haven't purchased anything, so I don't know exactly. I think you can use them to buy the other fighters as well. Like if you have fighters that you haven't unlocked yet, you can either earn, or the typical mobile game strategy of you can earn in-game currency, which takes a good while to earn, or you can spend $5 and just get that guy now.
Yeah.
So it's like that. I don't sense any pay to win stuff yet. It's definitely so. I'm a big proponent of games that reward you interestingly for playing a lot, but it doesn't necessarily buff you for playing a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'll give you, I guess maybe a negative example of this. I remember in high school, people were really big into COD, and at the time it was like Modern Warfare 2 was the big one at the time.
Hmm.
And I remember there were guys at school who would play like every night 5-6 hours all the time. If they're not in school, they're playing, and these guys would get all these perks, right? You get like all of these buffs, like you have different skills and such that you unlock as the more and more that you play, right? And especially if you're quite good, you'll level up faster. You'll get these buffs faster, right? And
Yeah.
so if I come in as a newbie, like obviously like their skill is gonna help them immensely in terms of beating me. But they've also got all these buffs, and they can run faster, and they have better guns, and et cetera, that I don't have.
Hmm.
And that really irks me in games. I'm definitely of the belief that if you've played a lot, the differentiating factor should be your skill, right? If I'm gonna face you, mano a mano, right, and you've played a lot and I have not, I expect that you will beat me, but I want that to be because of your skill and not because you have unlocked all the good guns and I had never stood a chance regardless of your skill, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess what it boils down, my point here is with Pokemon Unite, it seems like there's a couple items and small things that you can unlock the more you play. I don't get the sense that these are massive buffs. It just seems like you can basically you can assign held items to each Pokemon before you start a battle.
Yeah.
And so the held items, they give you like you get 1% better health regeneration, or it's like a 1% faster movement speed and things like that. So it's very minor, it seems, to this point, as much as I've played. I'm really not big on there being these buffs that you acquire that really give you a big difference in skill because you've played more, or a big difference in ability. So I'm hopeful that that stays the same way.
Yeah, me too. Especially because, with a game that's free to play and a lot of people can, pick it up and enjoy it because there's no money wall. And it's fine that if, like, the game is going to give you something for paying a small amount of money, then obviously you paid for it, so you deserve to have that. But it's not fair to everyone who maybe can't afford to buy things. So the rewards need to be catered to be fun but not game breaking. It doesn't play out well if you're the type of gamer who's like, I really want to play this game, but maybe you're a child, so you can't afford to buy things that are pay to win.
Yeah,
so
of course.
You just end up falling behind based on your age because you're too young to buy stuff. Or just maybe you have convictions where, like, if this game is free, then I want to play it free. I don't want to buy anything at all and get through it on challenge alone.
Yeah.
So,
well, you'll have to download it, hop on there, and we can play a match or two. We'll see what you think.
Yeah, I'd love that actually.
What have you been playing?
I'm busy with my own Pokemon journey still.
Yeah, let's hear
I'm
it.
almost done. Tyler.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. I'm about midway through Emerald right now, and once Emerald is finished, I just have to do trades, and I'm all done.
You're all done that gen.
With this generation, yes.
Mm-hmm.
A Gen 4 TBA. But, yeah, I'm almost done. It came to a point where I was so interested in all of the subtle differences between my performance between games in different generations, that I started keeping a little Google Doc about, like, what was the hardest Pokemon to capture in this game? How many balls did it take to capture the hardest Pokemon in that game? How many shinies did I encounter? What was the hardest trainer battle? What was my playtime for each game? Stuff like that. Because I think it's really cool when I go back, I can look at it and say, oh yeah, that Articuno in Fire Red really did take me 206 fucking Pokeballs to capture. Well, Ultra Balls, but same.
Yeah, brutal.
The three catch rate on those birds, let me tell you. But yeah, I went back through some of my journals and messages with friends to create an accurate catalog for the same information for my previous two challenge runs of Gens 2 and 1. So now I just have all three generations with hardest encounter, i.e. how long it took me to find a specific Pokemon in the wild, hardest capture, or how many balls it took me to catch a Pokemon, whichever one is the most, the hardest battle, number of losses or resets, number of shinies encountered, total number of Pokemon caught, and the playtime for each game. So, yeah.
You've recorded all of this?
I'm recording it all as I go along. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I would love to see. You could probably do some really interesting things with, like, r/data is beautiful kind of graphs and shit.
Oh yeah. Oh, I color coded it and everything. It looks really nice.
Oh,
I'll have to
my
show
God.
it to you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see that. Yeah.
It looks
Well, yeah.
cute.
Once you're done the entire series, you'll have to, like, take all this data and make some cool graphs and shit. I think that'd be really dope.
Once I'm done with the whole thing, I'll pop a link to it in whatever video I talk about finally finishing, because I think it would be cool for people to look at. Because, I mean, I'm spending time doing it, so I want someone else to look.
Amazing. Oh,
but yeah, that's really it. I haven't been playing a whole bunch else. Just Pokemon.
Yeah, I did a little bit more Towerfall. I had here. I'll have a small story for you.
Yeah.
My friend Nick and I, friend of the show, Nick. Hey, what's up, Nick?
What's up, Nick?
He was playing. We had scheduled time to play Halo because we're adults now, and you have to, like, book times with your friends in advance. and you have to say, hey, we said on August 23rd or whatever, we're gonna play Halo at 7 p.m. And he was like, yep, sounds good, let's book it.
Yep.
So we had that time booked, and that day comes along in the evening. I text him. I say, hey, we still good for tonight? He says, yep, no problem. Sounds good. Nick lives in Ottawa, by the way. He lives across the
oh, really?
the country. So we were going to play online.
Yeah.
And we're like, cool, that sounds good. So 6:55 rolls around, and I go downstairs and pour myself a glass of wine. And I get ready to come back upstairs and play with Nick. And the doorbell rings, and it's fucking Nick.
Oh!
And I'm like, what the hell? And he was like, yeah, man, I moved back.
7 o'clock,
like,
huh?
No way. Yeah, and he purposely timed it to ring the doorbell at 7 o'clock. So, that's how
so
you know who the
cool.
real OGs are.
That's so cool.
Anyway, so Nick showed up, and so we played Towerfall, which we talked about last episode.
Yeah.
And yes, we actually had a group of friends over, and we played like 4-player Towerfall, and it's a hit, dude. You gotta play that. It's so much fun.
I'll have to.
Yeah, everybody was having a really good time. I initially started by trying to get them to play Ludo on Clubhouse games.
Yeah.
But that didn't go over well. So Towerfall was the last time we played Ludo. It was a very frustrating experience, to say the least.
For the loser.
Yeah, I guess so. That's the person who wins Ludo is always having a party, but everybody else is.
Well, yeah,
anyway, yes,
point,
Towerfall, big hit in person. With 4 players, definitely recommend checking that out if you're looking for a very fun couch kind of multiplayer experience. I really want to pick up Killer Queen Black. I have to do some digging for it. I think I told you
I picked that up a while ago.
I know. I got to do some digging for it because Amazon Canada used to have it and they don't anymore, and I'm kicking myself for not picking it up then.
Do you want me to keep my eye out and see if I can find a copy around here?
Yeah. If you spot it, let me know.
I'm only
I can do some.
Roughly 3 months away from seeing you again, so.
Well, hopefully, with the way this Delta stuff's going.
We'll I really hope so. I'm going to say it with confidence because I really hope so. I will see you in 3 months. Damn it.
Should we talk should we talk about the gamer news with a Z?
Yeah, I'd really like to because I am frustrated.
Yeah.
So today's gamer news with a Z, as Tyler accidentally misspoke.
It wasn't misspoke. It was correct.
We touched upon the WATA games grading and reselling for ludicrous prices in a past episode. But it has recently come to light that it is a big speculative bubble that was done on purpose by the people who work at WATA and, by extension, their parent company, Heritage Auctions, who is the one doing all the sales for WATA products.
They're all in cahoots. It's a big Jeep.
Tyler and I watched a 50-minute investigative video, and I will link that video in the comments for the YouTube video. Basically, that straight up exposes this entire thing using screenshots of documentation. It does a very good job of nailing down who exactly these people are. And one person in particular, Jim Halperin is his name. He's the owner of Heritage Auctions, and this is not his first time creating a gigantic speculative bubble, because in the mid-'80s, he also caused the coin boom, which was a thing I never even knew about. But I asked my uncle about it, who's a coin collector, and yeah, he had lots of stuff to say about it.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I won't go into too much detail about the coins aspect of it, but basically, this video does a way better job of explaining this than I will, but I'll put it as lightly as I can with as much information as possible. I want to keep it concise. Speculation is an economic thing. It's when you buy into something or purchase an item specifically because, and really only because, you intend to flip it later to make a profit. However, speculation is more than just buying and reselling. It's all about doing so in the hopes that the market for that item or that service will continue to grow, and you'll make continuous profit if you continue to do it. It's not just a simple, I'm buying this and flipping it for extra cash. You make this like a part of your life. It becomes a part of who you are. And that's what's happening right now. This is all, economically speaking, speculation. And it's all being done in-house to make people get into the market, which is good for WATA and Heritage Auctions because they make money when people grade and sell on their site.
It's baloney.
Yeah, it's total balls. Nobody is actually paying this much money in the real video game market for these games, even graded. I see people selling their own graded games on like Facebook Marketplace or in like video game groups on Facebook, and they're nowhere near as expensive as those same games go for on Heritage Auction site because they're marked up on purpose to get people thinking that there's a market for them, so they create more of a speculative bubble, which makes more people go to grade their games at WATA, which gives WATA money, and then when the person who had that game graded by WATA turns around and sells it on Heritage Auctions, because WATA talks Heritage Auctions up like it's nobody's business because they're the same company, basically, then Heritage Auctions takes a cut of the sale. And another thing that I didn't even know was real, but the video taught me this. I don't have a problem with grading video games if it's for your own personal use. If you want to have like a little thing on your shelf that says this copy of Glover, let's say, because I have Glover on the mind always, is a 9.8, A double plus. Hooray. If it's for your own personal benefit, I don't think there's a problem with grading. But now I have a little bit of a problem with grading because when you look at grading through a microscope, it's just, hey, I'm going to look at this game, I'm going to evaluate it with whatever tools, I deem are necessary to use. Then I'm going to give my, quote, expert opinion on what I think this game's condition is based on a numerical scale from 0 to 10. Which, is very arbitrary, I know, but so are a lot of things, so that's not where my problem is. My problem is that when you grade a game with WATA, that should be the service that you pay for. But it isn't. You also pay them 20% of the game's market value. So if you send them a copy of Glover, you're going to pay them 20% of Glover's, like, I think it's like $35 complete in box. But if you send them a copy of Little Samson complete in box, which is a couple $1,000, you're going to pay them 20% on that for them to do the same job.
Brutal.
Yeah. Why? What's up with that?
It's a whole scam.
Yeah.
I mean, here's what it boils down to for me. It's like, this is, it's a whole ruse to, make the people behind it wealthy, and it screws over the people who are actually interested in this hobby and who are actually playing these games and who are actually like, spending their time and money to go collecting, organize their collections, value their collections, that kind of thing. It's only harmful to those people.
Yeah.
And so, for that reason, I gotta, like, you gotta think that at some point in time, I especially with, this video coming to light and with the video game kind of, the community being as active online and as vocal online as it is, you got to think that at some point, like, there's got to be, I think earlier than we would have seen with the coins and with the comic books and that kind of thing. Eventually, there's a crash, I think, when people kind of realize that everything's overvalued. Yeah. And I think with the video game community, the collecting community, I think that happens sooner rather than later.
I would like to hope so, at least.
I feel like, especially now that all this info's out and it's, it's quite clear what's going on here.
Yeah.
I'd hoped that, there are not people who are getting scammed into paying these exorbitant prices, and there are not people who are looking, in addition to the individuals involved, there are not people who are looking to kind of hop on that train, right? The hope is that there is no train and that it all kind of crumbles at their feet, before it really takes off here. And it has already to an extent, but the hope is that the greater good will prevail and that the community is vocal enough and smart enough to not let the values get like so hyperinflated.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I just want to make sure that, if we are going to be collecting games, even expensive ones, we're doing it for the right reasons. I like it when people collect games because, I used to play a lot with my dad when I was younger, or I really enjoy the history of video games, or I collect for this specific console because it's my favorite console. Nice, good personal reasons to collect. And I'm not the gaming police, so if you collect for a non-personal reason, maybe you're just like, oh, well, like, I think it'll be cool to have something worth a lot of money one day, then power to you also. But I don't want you to be collecting for really shit reasons, like, I hope that one day I'll make a ton of money off this stuff, so I'm just gonna take it from other collectors who care about it. Or
it's the people who are buying it and shoving it into a plastic case and getting it graded, and then it sits there on the shelf, with the hope that the value goes up, right? Like, that's
because
not...
It's not just about, like, oh, well, like, I only have one copy of it, so, like, I'm not taking it from somebody else. That's not the problem. It's that when you buy into a market specifically for speculation, you're influencing the price of that item, which does affect others' ability to buy it. Even if there are 1 million copies of it, if the price goes up, it is harder to buy, even if there are 1 million of them. That's what's happening with Super Mario 64 now. There are so many eBay auctions for just the cartridge of Mario 64 for thousands of dollars. It's the most common Nintendo 64 game, and it's all because of this.
Yeah.
It's because of this type of person, this type of buyer.
You got to hope that people aren't actually buying these and completing these sales.
I really hope not.
The ones that are like more normally valued, but
yeah, but people must be, otherwise there wouldn't be any point to creating this artificial speculative bubble.
Yeah, time will tell, kind of how far this goes, how deep it goes. I really hope it doesn't take off. The news reports and that video really points out that the news reports that come from Wired and IGN and even like bigger publications, Washington Post I think was called out, they really do not help the situation, because you get a little bit more of like the average reader or the non-gamer involved in the bubble, who maybe aren't as knowledgeable or aren't as familiar with what the pricing should be, and who aren't necessarily interested in playing these games. When those folks get involved, then that's where things really kind of shit the bed. So I think there is some kind of responsibility that these publications need to have in terms of when they're reporting on these things, who are they really benefiting, right? Or is there a part of this whole scam where these WATA and Heritage Auctions are, somewhat financially involved with these publications, and maybe there's a kickback, or maybe there's something happening under the table of, to get these publications to write these articles that are kind of pumping up this market.
Yeah, I'm sure that there probably is, but then again, they probably don't even have to, because sensationalism about video games in media has happened since video games ever first existed. Like, WATA and Heritage Auctions don't have to pay anybody for just some, like, bit journalist to be like, oh, wow, hey, do you mind if I write an article on our website about how there was this copy of Mario 64 that sold for $2 million? A lot of people are gamers out there. They'll read it.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't benefit the right people. And it especially annoys me on a personal level, not just because my hobby is being affected, but because members of my family who aren't involved in my hobby and don't understand any better will message me and be like, hey, you really need to sell your Mario 64. Like, $2 million is worth more than the memories you have. Like, they don't say it exactly like that, but, I've gotten that from family and friends, and I'm like, you don't understand. A, I wouldn't do that for $6 million. And B, no! That's not how this works.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like even in the show in the video they talk about like the Pawn Stars effect, right? Of like a thing shows up on Pawn Stars and suddenly like everybody thinks they're millionaires for having like an NES.
Yeah, my dad, rest his soul, he was that kind of person where he watched an episode of, I think it was Storage Wars, and they found an NES, and my dad was like, they sold that for like big money. I was like, it's worth like $50, Dad.
Yeah, if that. Yeah. What games have you been spending your hard-earned money on over the past couple
Yeah.
weeks here?
So the last couple of weeks, since the last time we had an episode, have actually been really good to me because a couple of mom and pops that have been in the area have had some really good stuff, and I follow them all on Facebook because I, support your local video game stores. They need to be around. We need a place to walk into a brick and mortar store and buy video games. So I do that, and this past fortnight, we do these every 2 weeks. Every single one of the ones that I follow on Facebook have posted something that has caught my eye, and so I went in to get it.
Wow.
So I'll start with I went to Blast from the Past, which is a place right near where I grew up in Bayshore on Long Island. My friend Rich opened that place recently. We became friends through Video Game Trading Post because he and the owner Mike knew each other. And then I got close with Rich, and then Rich opened his store. So it's nice going in there because I know the dude, and he's a really cool guy. And his prices, even before he gives discounts to his friends and family, they're already really nice. But I went in because I saw that he had a copy of Donkey Kong Country on Game Boy Color, which is the only version of Donkey Kong Country 1 that I didn't have, so I figured I'd get it. But while I was there perusing his stuff, I noticed he had a copy of Fun Pack on Windows, and it's for Windows 3.1, so it's like really old. But I had that game when I was a kid. I distinctly remember my dad bringing it home from like a Kmart or something, and I had never ever heard anyone else ever talk about it. I'd never seen it anywhere else than my childhood copy. So it was really cool to see. I have it in front of me, and I just want to like read this to you, Tyler.
Sure. Yes, I want to hear it.
What is the Fun Pack? The Fun Pack is a collection of 7 arcade-style games for Microsoft Windows. They are fast-paced and action-packed, similar to classic video games like Pac-Man, Asteroids, Breakout, and Missile Command. And when they say similar, they mean like straight-up copies. Fun Pack is a compilation of 7 clones of popular arcade video games, all with
amazing.
different names. Yeah, so there's Choplifter, Pac-Man, Missile Command, Asteroids, Tetris, and Breakout. But they go under the names.
It says those things?
So it doesn't say those things. It says that they're video games like Pac-Man, Asteroids, etc., but they are named something different. So Choplifter is called Blitzer, Pac-Man is called Chomp, because of course it is. Missile Command is called Warhead, Asteroids is called Hyperoid, Tetris is called Emlith, Emlith.
What?
And Breakout is called Blockbuster. And a lot of those arcade games, where they originally came from, this disc on Windows 3.1 was my first experience ever playing them. Not Pac-Man, and not Tetris, but the others, I played them for the first time in their clone forms on this disc.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was super cool to see that at Rich's store in public. So I had to get it. It was like $5. No one gives a shit about it.
I'm looking this up. I don't know if all of the games are by this company, but it says that Emlith was created by Way Forward.
Yes, I actually looked that up when I cataloged the game in my collection because I like to see who the developer is. It was published by WizardWorks, but it says developed by WayForward.
All of them are. Is it all of them by WayForward?
I believe so. I think all 7 of them, yeah.
Wow, this is amazing. That is a piece of video game history right there.
Right? I love that.
Wow, a pretty respected developer these days. I think they're doing the new Advance Wars. Reboot, whatever thing.
I'm really excited for that too.
Yeah. So like they've made a name for themselves, and it only took them like 30 odd years after creating some Windows 3.1 clones of.
I
arcade
wonder if
games.
that was the first thing they worked on. I didn't go and look back at their catalog before then. I found it and I found their name attached to it, and I was taken aback.
Wow,
But I'll have to
amazing.
go and see. I wonder if that was the first thing they ever worked on. But
I think
yeah,
it was.
so it was really really cool to see that. Um, of course, I came right home and I installed them on my computer because I have a virtual box for old Windows,
Yeah.
and oh, they're just as shitty as I remember. I love them so much.
Oh, yeah. I love that kind of era of like early to mid 90s PC, where, it was kind of like the bubble like was really taking off, and there was just kind of a lot of shovelware that was coming out.
Yeah.
And I have some fond memories of playing some like, real garbage shit. Like, even
Oh,
like Flash
absolutely.
games to an extent started taking off, you know.
Yeah, but that wasn't the only thing that I was able to pick up. I'm going to make these short because I want to give you your time to shine too. But
Sure.
another place, Flashback Gaming, East Northport. I love the couple who owns that place. So I noticed that they posted that they had a copy of Castlevania 2: Belmont's Revenge for Game Boy, which is one of the only Castlevanias that I was still missing. So I zoomed down there, and I actually took a bunch of empty like Wii and 3DS cases and stuff that my friend Max gave to me because a friend of his switched to like cart and disc only, like a monster, and
Oh
just
yeah.
shoved all of his stuff off to Max. But Max didn't want to deal with them, so he gave them to me. I upgraded anything in my collection that needed upgrading, but they were all boxes of doubles. So Tyler, you're lucky because you got to claim a box and manual for Soul Silver, which is expensive, but I love you, so congratulations, it's free.
Thank you,
And
sir. I do have a
yeah,
cart only of that. Out of all, it was kind of interesting. All these, you sent me this picture, and all of the cases for these games, they were like Matt basically said, "Hey, do you want any of these or box slash manual only cases?" And they're all like first party Nintendo games.
yep,
And I
all of
was
them.
like expecting like shovelware because I always get the notification for your messages and I can read what you said, but I can't see the photo until I open the message. And so
Yeah,
when you
same.
said that and I read it, I assumed it was just going to be like some shovelware or like maybe a couple
Cooking
things in there.
Mama.
No, it was fucking all first party Nintendo games.
Yeah. Now, I mean, some of them were like lesser titles, like We
Yeah,
Fit
sure.
and stuff like that, but they were all published by Nintendo, every single one.
Yeah.
Pokemon Black 2, there was a Soul Silver, which you'll get. There was a Wind Waker HD, Sticker Star, a lot of good stuff. So I brought those empties down to Flashback, and I got a pretty good chunk of credit for them. So I was able to get the Castlevania 2. And while I was there, I also picked up Magic Sword for Super Nintendo, which is a pretty uncommon arcade port of a Capcom game. And I got Ai Senshi Nikoru, or Love Warrior Nicole, for Famicom Disk System, which is a top-down action RPG that never
Oh,
came
fun.
to the West. And I've been wanting that for a while. So yeah, that was really fun too. Then I saw at the Trading Post, they got in a Game Boy copy of Mega Man 4, which is rare, and I want that game also. I have 1 through 3, so I zoomed down and I went to pick it up. I had some credit left over in the system, but I also brought cash with me to fill in the remainder. And they also had a copy of Crystallis for Game Boy Color, and I'm a big fan of the original Crystallis on NES. It's one of my favorite games. It's in my top 20 of all time. And I've played the Game Boy Color game with a friend, but I've never owned it. So I got both, and Mike did a bundle deal for me, so it was really awesome to pick those up.
Damn.
Yeah, the only other thing worth mentioning that I picked up was I got another Famicom disc game earlier last week. Nakayama Miho no Tokimeki High School, or Nakayama Miho's Heartbeat High School, which
Right.
is a Japanese dating sim for disc system. But it's interesting because like the game is whatever, right? Who cares? But
Yeah.
it was one of the few Famicom disc games to come out on a blue floppy disk instead of a yellow one, and that's primarily the reason I wanted it.
I never see disc system stuff here. I like, the you see one in a blue moon maybe, right?
Yeah.
And it was never obviously like it's a Japanese console, but like it's I feel like there when I visit you and we go to the stores on Long Island or anywhere really, like there's always going to be like some import stuff,
Yeah.
and like maybe like it wouldn't be out of the ordinary to see a disc system or some disc system games or something like that, but like never, you would never in 100 years,
That's so sad.
see that kind of thing here. It's super.
You say
super
the same
rare.
thing with like Atari stuff there too. It's very uncommon there.
Atari is definitely more common than
More
disc
common
system.
than that, but still like
Yeah.
pretty
Pretty
infrequent,
uncommon.
you'd say.
Yeah.
So that's like the total opposite. I mean, yes, disk system stuff is still uncommon here, but Atari is littered all over the place. Like you can lift up a rock and you'll find a copy of Pac-Man underneath it.
Yeah, like if I wanted to find like a copy of Pac-Man or a copy of, I don't know, Defender or something, like you can, I could call around to the stores in town and one of them would likely have it.
Yeah.
But I would kind of have to go out of my way to find it. I wouldn't be able to just walk into a store and they would have it. It would be a little bit more unlikely.
Well, here's to hoping that at some point Canada, or maybe just your area at the very least, gets some Famicom disc games because they're really fun, and I wish more of them would have come to the West because, like, god damn,
Yeah.
they're so good.
Instead of finding all that, fun shit, this past 2 weeks, I got Wally on PSP.
On Wii? Oh, on PSP. Okay, that's good. That's something.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's all I got this week.
tell me about the story. How'd you get it?
Oh, Lauren was at a thrift store that's kind of near her parents' house, and it's a pretty good thrift store. I think I've talked about it before. And they typically have like a couple things that are mildly interesting. I do think that they're like an eBay store, like I think they've got an eBay account and they probably have a box in the back that the good stuff gets tossed into. But they've got some good stuff sometimes. And Lauren was at the store. All of their games are $5 unless they determine it's more than $5, and then I think it goes in the eBay pile. So it's not like you're going to find anything great in the $5 bin, but there's like some good stuff. And so Lauren was there, and she texted me and said, "Hey, do you want this?" And it was Wally on PSP. And I didn't see the text immediately, and so like maybe like I don't know, half an hour or an hour later, I responded and I said, "Oh yeah, sure, $5, okay, I'll take it."
And she's like, I'm already an hour away. Sorry.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then she
A
was
half
like,
hour later, she was an hour away.
yeah, she was like, "Oh, I'm like, we left. Like, do you how badly do you want it?" And I was like, "Not badly at all. Like, don't worry about
Lauren,
it.
this
It's
is
fine."
the only thing I've ever wanted in my whole life. Please go back, sweetheart.
So yeah, I was like, "I don't want it that badly at all. Like, don't bother going back. It's fine." And she's like, "Okay." And then I joined her. She was staying at her parents' house, and then I joined her a couple days later, and she was like, "Hey, I have a surprise for you." I'm like, "Oh, what is it?" It was Wally on PSP.
Aw, how sweet.
Yeah, I mean, we go to this thrift store like all the time, like every couple days, because they always put up new stuff. So we go like pretty frequently when we're down there. And so I guess she had went back and it was still there, and so she got it.
Oh, cool.
So I got Wally. Never gonna play it ever.
Hey, it's a pickup. It counts.
But I got that. I did get my East Arland games. Those did come in. Very surprisingly good condition. Two of them had the dust cover on them, so they were like shrink wrapped with the dust cover on. You ever see that? Like the dust cover's on them, and then they shrink wrap on top of that.
Yeah, I've seen that. My copy of Cool World that I got was also shrink wrapped, although it didn't have the little tiny SNES dust cover.
Yeah. So that that's kind of weird, because then you unwrap it and the dust cover is all like kind of mangled.
Because it got like pushed inward by the cellophane wrap.
Yeah, not that I care that much about the dust cover, but
were they first party dust covers that said Nintendo on them?
One of the two were.
That's cool. Those are a little bit more difficult to find.
Yeah, I've got a bin of them somewhere.
I do too. I must have like 30 or 40 of them just sitting around.
Did every NES game, boxed NES game, come with a dust cover?
I believe so, except for like later releases when
I can't say I have ever unboxed a new NES game.
I haven't either, but I just know my history. The first party titles almost always came with a Nintendo branded dust jacket, and every other game came with just a black one. Some games came with like their own color, like a gray one, or Tengen games came with a cardboard one that said Tengen on it. But
Interesting.
yeah, no matter what, none of them are really too expensive. Even the more rare ones, like the gray ones or the Tengen ones, they're like $1. No one cares.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Anyway, so yeah,
least.
those were my pickups this week.
That's cool though. I'm so glad that you were able to order from East Arland. You actually got them delivered to your house.
Yeah, no, I was half expecting them to arrive and be like, "Hey, come pay the duties and customs fees or whatever."
Because like Tyler and I have a sordid history of going on eBay together and trying to help each other collect stuff. And any time that Tyler finds something that he really likes for a good price, either they don't deliver to America, or if they do, or they don't deliver to Canada. Sorry, or if they do deliver to Canada, it's just not worth it because it's going to cost too much money in shipping.
Yeah, eBay had a change, I want to say maybe 2-3 years ago at this point, where international shipping just got exorbitantly more expensive. And it's because the way that it's processed on there now, you have to basically use eBay's international system. I don't know the exact details of it, but you used to kind of be able to like, pick whatever price you want. Like, if I live in the US and I'm able to figure out a way to ship to Canada on the cheap, if whether it's like a letter mail thing where I shoved a cartridge into a letter and that flies, you can ship it,
which I've done for you.
Yeah. But now you have to use eBay's like international shipping system that applies whatever exorbitant like international shipping method that they pick for you, as I understand it. So you can't really kind of like sidestep the system by like shoving it into a letter.
Well, you can sidestep the system by doing what we've always pretty much done, where you send it to my place and then eventually we see each other and you just take them from me.
Yeah, it's always kind of funny when the games come from like Seattle or Montana even, and they fly across the continent to you, and then you package them up and then send them up to me back across the continent.
Or they fly across the continent to me, and then you fly across the continent to me to pick them up.
Get them, yeah, yeah. There's got to be a better way. Come on, international shipping. What's going on?
It's like it feels almost like video games are like a commodity in Canada. I know that they're not.
No.
But the way that it is set up on eBay, where it's so much more difficult to get them to Canada, feels like they're more of a commodity.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you gotta... It seems that the pricing here in brick and mortar is basically on par to what it would cost if I ordered a game on eBay and paid the international shipping. Like, the discount that you get for buying it on eBay is negated immediately, so you may as well just go into the brick and mortar.
Yeah. Do you have many brick and mortar stores near you? I feel like we talked about this before.
Yeah, there's a handful. I would say in town we probably have about 6 or 7 dedicated ones. Mm-hmm. And then there's a couple of like antique stores that have a game section, or just kind of odds and ends stores that have a small game selection.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's probably about 6. There's one kind of chain called Game City, and Game City has, I want to say, maybe 4 or 5 locations, and they're typically in malls. And they typically have quite high prices, but they also sell like merchandise and plushes and clothing and that kind of thing. My favorite store in town is called Next Wave. Shout out to Next Wave Games in Edmonton. It's a great store. I mean, the prices are a little bit high. They have to compete, right? They have to make their money. Yeah. So it
the fact that they're a brick and mortar store that sells retro video games is enough of an excuse for me to be okay paying the slightly higher premium.
Certainly. Yeah. I love going in there. The folks in there are super, super nice. And they're always posting whatever their kind of interesting trades are on their Facebook page as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, real stand-up class act group of people at Next Wave Games.
Yeah. Oh, I love it when they do that. Like half the stuff that I bought this past week and a half ish were because they posted their trades on their Facebook pages. I love that. I can see what they've got, so I can go down there.
Yeah, I gotta go give them a visit.
I'm gonna have to come up and see you eventually. I got to see your new place and stuff like that, and you'll have to take me there.
Yeah, dude, come on up.
Because I've taken you to pretty much every store that's around here more than one time.
is the border cool yet? Are you allowed to come up here yet? I don't know what the deal is coming this way.
I think so. I'm pretty
for,
sure.
For me to come down there, I have to pass a COVID test, like going down and then coming back up. And you have to pay for it, and it's like not super cheap either. But alas.
Oh, really?
Ew. Yeah. So I wonder what it's like for you coming here. I don't know what the sitch is on that front.
I feel like it'd probably be much of the same.
Yeah. Who knows? We'll have to look into it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we got. I think that'll do it for this week's show, folks. To learn more about Super FX, you can visit our website. It's superfxpodcast.com. You can find our show wherever you find your other favorite podcasts, including on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. You can follow us on social media, including Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at SuperFXPodcast. Please reach out with any comments or questions on social media, or you can send us an email privately. That's hi at superfxpodcast.com. That's
right,
hi at superfxpodcast.com. It's a tough one. Not.
Right?
If you like what you were doing and you'd like to support us, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/superfxpodcast. If you're listening on YouTube, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment down below. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, help us out by rating and reviewing our show. A special thanks, as always, to our good friend Kenny Martin for our theme song. You can find him at Kenma, that's KENMA.bandcamp.com. And as always, a very special thanks to you. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
See ya.